Right then, so we're back for Navionics on the boat using a tablet, either Android or Apple, both basically exactly the same. So I've obviously done part one of this already, which sort of covered what mounting bracket I was using, what case I was using and so forth. This one we're just going to run through, not I wouldn't say technical, but a little bit more of the features and things that you can do on it, route to route navigation, weather and things like that. So as I said in the first video, if you haven't watched that one, go and watch it. It's definitely worth a watch, but you do not need a cellular data network to run the Navionics app, just GPS. But I will hopefully show you some good reasons to have a cellular data one as well, but we'll run through that now. Right, so we're going to start off with, I'm just going to pick a random mark or location. We're going to click on it. We're going to stick a marker point. We're going to change this marker point and we're going to call it, just for example, fish. We're going to save that. So that's that marker point there now. So that is now marked as fish. So if we go back to harbour, wherever we are moored, we just click that button there. That will take us back to where we are. Now in the last video, so if you've got dirty hands or wet hands and you're trying to click on your route and you want to go to this point here, sometimes it can be a bit fiddly, so you can click boat 2. So this is what before, if you were going route and then automatic, oh sorry, I clicked manual by mistake. So if you were going route, you would go automatic, and then you would then have to hold your waypoint that you want to go to. And occasionally on the tablets, it didn't do it too bad then, it's hard to highlight them, so we'll cancel that. And then we're going to go route. No, we're not, sorry. We're going to click this up here. And then we're going to go markers. Then we're going to click on the question mark. We're going to type fish. It's the one we just done. That's highlighted. We click that. It will then take us to that marker. Then click on the 3 lines. It's taking you to that marker. So you can then click boat 2. It will automatically search the best route. This is far easier. In the first video I did it the other way, where you do automatic, highlight the 2 locations you want. Now that's now done that. If we click go, it will take us back to where we are moored, or where we are starting. Obviously it will go from your location as well, so wherever you are, it will start from there. So that's now plotted the route, and it will also, it will navigate you, look down through the harbour that you're located along, and it will miss, if you've got depth settings on your app already, telling it what you don't want, what depths you don't want to be in, it'll also navigate around them areas. So if we just zoom out a bit, you see how it's going round the breakwater, and it will continue to do that all the way along your journey and take you to the safest route for it. It'll also miss certain points out where the sea can potentially be really rough as well. So that saves a lot of hassle on before, when we were doing it, and then when you were having to highlight it. Obviously when you highlight it, you do automatic and it does it the same, but if you're out at sea and your fingers are a bit wet, a bit slimy, that is a much better way, and to be honest it's a lot quicker. I don't do it any other way now, I automatically do it that way. It just saves a lot of hassle. So that's one. feature that you've got to do it that way. It's so much easier. So we'll run through that one more time. So route, stop, so straight up to the arrows, click on markers, and then the one we've just made was called fish. Comes up there, click fish, click on the 3 dots or 3 lines, sorry, and then just click boat 2, and it'll automatically route you the best way. It's also coming up here, look, so it's 16.7 nautical miles, an hour and 7 minutes, and it'll burn roughly 33.26 litres, and that is given on the calculations and the input information that I've already inputted into my app. So roughly what my cruising speed is, and what litres I burn. So that's does the calculation for you on the inputted data. So that's that one done. Right, next one that I've been asked as well is how do you delete them. So when you go on the top section on your markers, type in the location, so fish, it comes up, click the 3 dots, export the GPX file, share or delete. So literally delete, and that is that. It's gone now, because you can't click on the actual location on the screen and delete it. It doesn't come up with the information that's needed. Yeah, so you've got to go into your search bar at the top, into your markers, type in the marker name, or if you don't know the marker name, and I've got a lot here, you just click on a random one, it will take you to a location, and then you can then click on that. So if you know one that you want to get rid of, when you're scrolling through your map, you click on the marker, it tell you the marker name, and then you can type it in at the top, and then you can just click the 3 dots and delete it. And it's as simple as that for removing marks that you've accidentally put in by mistake or things like that. Right, so I know we went through tide flow and charts before on the last one, but we will have another little go at it because it is so useful. I think it's a must know. So you can click on the location where it's got a tidal chart or flow, click on that little bit there where it said Weymouth, and then it will come up at the bottom. So at the moment it is 10:55 AM on the 21st of August. It is a 1.81 metre for the harbour, and the tide is falling now. If you look across, it will tell you what it was and what it is going to be. You can move this along. For some reason my tablet's seeming a little bit glitchy this morning. I might take it back home and just give it a little clean up and stuff, because it doesn't seem to really want to be responding this morning for some reason. But yeah, you can flick through that, and then it will tell you what the low tide is and what the height is, and it will just continue to go. If you want more information on the Pacific days, click that button there. It will then, you can then change the day. So let's go for the 25th, click set, and then it will then go to that day. You can then scroll back through and down and over on that day, so you can predict, well not predict, you know exactly what the tide is for certain days. So say you wanted to get your boat out of the water, but you know you want it on the Wednesday the 26th, the best time during the day if you need high water it will be at 12:56 at Weymouth Harbour on that day. So, and also obviously if you know that a certain mark, obviously this isn't ideal for this location for fishing, but it'll work exactly the same on a different mark. So if you know that it's better on the ebbing tide, then you know you want to be there as, say, I don't know, an hour past, so 1 o'clock, and it's ebbing there. Or if you know it's better just after, then you know at that mark you need to be there for 12:43 or 8:43, sorry. So it just helps you. And also, say like you want to be at that mark for that specific time, you can then do your navigate, and it will tell you exactly how long it's going to get there, so you can sort of map and get your day ready weeks before, and all the information is here. So if you know that you want to be there for low water at that location is said there on the time, 6:38, and it's going to take you an hour to get there. You want to leave at 5:38. Perfect. Right. Okay, so if you haven't got cellular data, this will not work. But if you have got cellular data, or even if your tablet hasn't got cellular data but your mobile phone has, you can connect wirelessly. So your tablet can use the wireless net, or you use your internet off your phone. You know, you could just use your phone for it, but it's handy to have it on it. But if you've got cellular data on your phone, on your tablet, sorry, you can use this. So if you go into menu and then weather, so you can see straight away, obviously the charts still come up, but you don't get none of the actual wind and the pressure and the rain and stuff like that, whereas now it's showing you straight away. So it's 25 knots, and it's showing you the wind direction there, so it's about southwest-ish. It would have been nicer if, obviously it doesn't take a rocket science to work out what wind direction that is, but it would have been nicer if it had told you there the wind direction. I mean, it's pretty obvious what the wind direction is, but it'd just be nice to have it there. So it's also telling you it's 19 degrees, 20% of rain, visibility is 3 nautical miles, and the pressure is rising. At the moment is 997. For me, pressure, you know, is also good, and that's quite a low pressure, which generally means it's usually better fishing. The fish, it seems to bring the fish on. And then you've got the sun. So sunset, or sunrise, sorry, is 6:07, and the sun sets at 2016. That is not actually right. I think I've read that wrong, because sunset is 21:48. That's more realistic. I'll have to look into that as to see why there's two numbers there, unless that's when the sun starts to fall. Sun rises at 6:07, is proper up at 8:05 maybe, I'm not sure, but 6:07 sounds about right for sunrise, and 9:48 sounds about right, correct for sunset. And then, as you can see down here, it also gives you a time for the winds. You can scroll through, so you can see how the wind is changing and the tide is changing through the day. Now, things like that is really handy, and the tide flow, because if you're fishing a Pacific mark, so say we're going to fish round near the Needles. At the moment, the wind and tide, it's sort of against each other, because if you look, we've got a bit of a south westerly wind, and the tide is flowing to the right. So the tide, wind and tide sort of together, but later on in the day, as that turns, it'll be wind against tide, so it's going to be a lot worse sea conditions than what it is now. So obviously wind with tide will flatten the sea to a degree. Obviously when the rougher, the windier it is, sometimes it doesn't really flatten it, because it's just so rough out there, it's just horrible. But anything beneath 20 knots, usually wind and tide together will flatten the sea. So straight away you can see now when you're going somewhere, you go, well, the wind's doing that, the tide is doing that, now's the time to leave. So because we're wind with tide, so it's not going to be as rough. And it'll also go through the day, the temperature, when it's likely to rain, and obviously the tide direction and the tide speed. You can also set it or look for next days and stuff. You can then click on the wind onto the chart now, and it will show you the wind direction, whereas it won't do that if you haven't got cellular network. So it's showing you the wind direction. So at the moment you've got a bit of a crosswind, so it'll be a bit, if you're coming around Portland, the waves will be a bit sideways on, so if you're coming around, it'll be port side on. It'll be pretty horrendous out there at the moment because of the wind direction, but you can see it fluctuating with the wind. You also got buoys on there that you can bring up. Right, so marinas and destinations and things like that, it does come up. If you do it whilst you're at home, it will recognise and save the data for you. However, if you're but it doesn't work as it should. Now with the cellular data, if you click on the search, and you say, obviously you all know I'm in Weymouth now, because I've scrolled to the Isle of Wight. Originally this is where I'm from, Southampton, Fawley, so I used to fish down through here majority of my life as well, until we moved to Weymouth. Now, so I'm going to go back to the Isle of Wight, and obviously I know where all the moorings are, but for example's sake, you then want to go, right, well, I want a marina or a mooring, and because I'm highlighted on this area, unlike your tidal flow and stuff, it'll go to where you are. Now, whereas with the, oh, I clicked the wrong button, so moorings, so it will now search and it will tell you the locations of different moorings, and then it'll also give you all the information about it. So for example, Ryde Harbour, Isle of Wight, VHF channel 80 to radio through to them. It'll just gives you the information that you need on each one. You can click on that, it'll then highlight it up there. It's had one review. Click the three dots. And then you can obviously boat to mark it, you can check the weather for that location, and then it gives you a little bit of information on if you're coming into the harbour, and you know what channel to be on, what depth it is, and it'll also give you things like bars, whether there's water and things like that. I haven't actually clicked, let's click on bars. So it's not highlighted, so it's got question marks, so it doesn't actually know as to whether or not it has those facilities there. So we'll go back again, we'll click search again, and we'll click fuel stations this time. So it's now come up with a list of fuel stations, quite a broad spectrum there as to where. We'll zoom in on these, we'll have a little look, and we'll stick with around the Isle of Wight area. So we'll click on this one here. So it's Shepherd's Wharf Marina. It's highlighted it up here, and it's VHF channel 80 again. So you can radio through and let them know that you're approaching and what it is that you need. Same again, it's also now giving you a telephone number for that location, so you can phone them. It's giving you an email address, it's giving them their address, website, and so forth. A lot of these details won't come up, see, if you haven't got cellular data. So, you know, this is me just sort of going through as to why, you know, you may need it, you may not need it. So on this one, it's telling you it's got Wi-Fi there. There's showers, there's place to dispose of stuff, there's water, restrooms, and so forth. So yeah, it, you know, depending on what your level of need from your chart is, you know, it can be really helpful to have this. Also tells you, I never knew that, look, it actually tells you for mooring. So average price per day is £4.20 per metre. There's also power available. It's just really good. Diesel, gas, propane. You can be lifted out of the water there. Yeah, awesome, hey? So we're going to just do a couple of other things now. So if you see down here, you've got what looks almost like a little Wi-Fi signal thing. If you click on that, it will then come up with, so I always run on Sonar charts just purely because the amount of detail that it gives you for ledges and changes in the seabed is phenomenal compared to the standard chart. So we'll just move across here quickly. So that is standard, and then if you click on Sonar, everything changes a little bit. It's quite flat ground, so it's not really shown a huge amount of difference on the Sonar chart on that section. But if we go back, we'll go back to the standard chart here. So there you go, that's a lot better. So that is a standard chart, and then if you click on the Navionics feature for the Sonar chart, the difference in the contours, so straight away that shows me that this ledge here along this bit here will be a nice potential for the location. I'd say bass all day long, 100%. Moving across round towards fresh, it says yeah, 100% you're going to get bass along this line here. Whereas if you go back into the normal chart, you could quite easily miss that location. The steps don't look very good. Obviously, the closer the lines, the sharper the ledge or the dip off. But with the Sonar charts on straight away, automatically that just says I need to fish that area. Click map options. It will then come up with a few other different things. I always run north up. People are different. I personally run north up, not head up and not course up. It's just how I like it. But it also gives you a few other things. I've got AIS turned on, but I haven't got it. I'm probably going to do another video that will cover running AIS. I did have a couple of people messaging me and asking about this feature and radar. Now there are overlays that you can use, so you can have your AIS or an AIS running as an overlay on the Navionics chart, so it will show up boats that have their AIS switched on. This app will cost you around £15 to have on there. I haven't actually got it, but I may download it just to show you. I've got it on my phone but not on the tablet. And then it will then highlight any vessels that have their AIS switched on. You can buy a receiver, so it will then use the receiver, which can also be plugged into any other devices as well. But that receiver is about 700 quid, so there's just no relevance whatsoever in buying that receiver. It'd be cheaper just to buy a standalone unit second hand. And then obviously there's a few more settings. I'm not going to go through all the settings because they're all set specifically for me. You don't need to change any of the settings on the contours, but you can see obviously where the shallower water is and where it starts, so you can set this. So if you know you don't want to be in any shallower than 2 meters of depth, you can set that so it will show certain depths, so you know you're not going to run aground. But things like that usually, you know, comes with time and experience as to where you are. But when you've got it on the app, you don't need so much experience and time in different areas. You can set it so you know that you're your kill is at a certain depth, and then you want to give yourself a couple of 3 foot, at least even maybe a metre or 2, so you don't run aground, and it will highlight these areas in whatever colour you ask it to highlight it in. So hopefully that has gone through, you know, the pluses for you having the cellular network on your device. So granted, you know, it's not going to be needed for everyone. For a lot of you, you're really not going to need to have the cellular data on your device. Like I said before, you really don't need it. You do not need it. However, if you're planning long journeys, I am a fisherman, you know, it's all I use it for is for fishing. So for me, the only feature on there would be the weather. Now, is it worth it? No, 100% not for me, because there's nothing I can't do on my phone. So there's no point in having 2 sets of mobile cellular costs. It's just pointless. However, if you're maybe doing longer journeys, say in a sailboat, and you don't want to have to worry about keeping 2 devices up and running all the time, you're limited on USB ports and things like that, then yeah, amazing. The features are still really good though, don't get me wrong. If I had a little bit more money to burn, then I probably would have it on there as well, because it's all in one location. With a click of a button, you can view endless amounts of details, you know, at a touch of a button. Now, you'd have to do a little bit more scrolling, a little bit more research and things like that if it was on your phone, X amount of different apps and things and whatnot. Whereas on the Navionics chart, it is all there. Everything that you need to plan a trip, to plan a day, the tides, moorings, fueling, bars, restaurants, it is all there with a click of a button. So yeah, it is it worth having? It would depend on you as a person. For my side of it, for what I use it for, no. For a lot of other people, would it be worth it? I'd say so, yes. It would be very much needed, and the information on there is endless. It's just, if you're doing more travelling around different ports, different marinas, then yeah, all day long I would recommend having it, because the information is phenomenal that is there with a touch of a button. So I hope this video helps. I've got quite a lot of comments on the last one. If there's anything else that you can maybe suggest, you think, oh, what about that, Nigel? Does that do this? Does it do that? Just let us know in the comments if there's anything you'd like to see, if there's anything else I can help with. Like I say, I've been using it now for quite some time, and I love the app. You know, on the boat, it's phenomenal for the price. You know, of a mountain bracket and the case and the yearly subscription to the Navionics. I think it's worth its weight in gold. I couldn't be without it. And if you had to buy a unit that would give you the same features that you're getting on that, you know, you're talking thousands and thousands of pounds. So yeah, hopefully that helps you all out, and I look forward to doing something else soon. Cheers guys, bye.